Hi guys, you're welcome to today's tutorial on Benny Souls. My name is Benedicta and today we're going to be drafting a basic bodice pattern. And to make this basic bodice pattern, we'll be needing a pattern paper, our scissors, and a tape measure, our pencils and marker pen, a curve drill, and straight ruler. So today, if this is what is good you really wish to learn, let's begin. So first off, I'm going to be marking a straight line at the top of my pattern paper, which is going to be serving as a starting point and our shoulder line. So from where we're going to be taking all our other measurements. So from that particular line, I'm going to be marking my bust point measurement. So the bust point I'm working for this pattern is 9 inches. I'm going to be marking the 9 inches right there, and I'll mark 12.5 underneath, and then I'll mark 17 half length, and then full length of this pattern is 23, which I'll mark down there. So I'll mark it down there. So when I'm done doing this, I'm going to mark it inwards so I can have a straight rule. I'll mark my 9 inches bust point, 12.5 under bust, 17-inch half length, and of course the full length of this block. So for this block, I'm going to be making use of, I'll mark them out on a straight line. After marking this on a straight line, I'm going to be labeling my lines. The first line I marked there is my bust point line, and then the next one is my under bust point line. Then the next one is my half length. Then the last one is my full length. So going back to the shoulder line, I'm going to be marking out my neck width, which is 3 inches. 3 inches is the standard measurement for a neck width. Then from there you could alter and get whichever neckline or neck depth you're working with. But for the sake of this block, I'll be making use of 3 inches. Then the next thing I'll be marking there is my shoulder line. The shoulder I'm working with is 14.5, and I'll divide it into 2, which is 7.25. From there, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, which will serve as our shoulder slope because our shoulders are not straight. So mark my 7 inch. I'll make sure that particular line is on a 7.25 inch. I'll mark it there. Then I'll connect that line to the neck width I'd already marked. So after that, we're going to be marking out our neck depth. So I'm making use of the standard 3 inches neck depth. I'm using my curve drill. I'm going to make a curve. So using my curve, I'm going to look for a perfect curve and make a curve there. This is going to serve as our neckline. So I'm done with that. The next thing we're going to be doing now is determine our bust and then our armhole. So first off, I'm going to be marking out my bust measurement circumference, which is 8.75. So I'm going to mark it right there, 8.75 right there. Then the next thing we're going to be doing is determine our armhole. So to determine our armhole, we're going to be dividing our bust length by 6, divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So for me, 35 divided by 6 is 5.8 or so, and then I'm going to add 1.5 to it, which is going to be 7.3. But sorry guys, I think I made a mistake here. Instead of marking 7.5, I went ahead to mark 6.5 or so. So please do well to correct it on your block. So after doing that, I'm going to mark out the measurements there. Like I said, I made a mistake there. I'm supposed to have 7.8, 7.5. So here I'm marking out the 6.5, which I'd already calculated, thinking it was right. So from there, I'm going to, that's now it's a chest line. So I'm going to call that a chest line. So I made sure it's on the 7.25 inch and I marked it upwards, meeting our shoulder line. The next thing is to extend it inward. So we could mark our armhole. So I'm going to be marking out the divide it into two, then marking out half of that particular measurement. So half of 6.5 is 3.25, which I'd mark here. I'm going to come in by half an inch. Then coming up by half an inch. The next thing I'm going to be doing is marking out my bust measurement, extending that bust measurement mark which I'd already imputed on the bust point. I'll take it upwards 8.75 and I'll mark it right there. So after marking right there, I'm going to use my curve drill to find a perfect angle. Then connect the three dots together. So connect the three dots. So after doing that, this is what we have. It's looking better already. So then we move over, we're going to be marking our dots. The bust span of the measurement of this block I'm working with is 7.25. So divided by 2, I'll be having 3.6 or so. So I'll be marking 3.5 inwards anyway. So mark the 3.5 on the bust point, mark it under bust, under bust line, mark it on the half length, and of course I'll go down on the full length of our block. I'll be coming on by 2 inches. So when I come on by 2 inches, I'll be marking it on that 2 inches block so it won't be tight on our hip line in our full length. So on that 2 inches I came up with, I'm going to be marking the 3.5. So on this line, you might decide to take in, but for the sake of this block, I'll be using 0.75 inch on both sides of that leg. So you can use half inch, you can use 1 inch depending on what you want. But for the sake of this block, I'll be using 0.75 on both sides of the block. So now I'm going to use my long rule to connect those lines and then connect my dart legs. So after connecting the straight line, I'll go ahead and connect my dart leg to the bust point. Dart leg to the bust point. And then extend it lower to the 2.5 2 inch that we came up with. So here we have our waist dart. This is called the waist dart. So from there we're going to be inputting our measurement, and then whatever measurement we input, we're going to be measuring that dart and then replacing them on it so it won't be short after making the fabric, the style we intend to make use of. So for my underbust is 29.5 divided by 4 is 7.4. I'm going to mark 7.4 there, and I'm going to mark those space in between the dart legs, and there I have almost 1, not up to 1 anyway. So I'm going to mark it right there. So I've replaced that particular space there. Then for my half length I'm working with is 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. I've inputted my mine and I'm going to measure what I have there. So what I have there is 1.5. I'm going to be replacing it at the side seam. So after doing that, I'll mark my hip length, which is 9, 2. So I'll connect the lines. I'll connect the lines like so, and then so this is it. I'll connect it to the end point of the blouse. So it's almost done. We're almost done with our front block, and then to determine our back block, okay, our bust dart, I mean to say, the bust dart is the difference between the front shoulder to half length and then the back shoulder to half length. And so to get it, you're going to be determining, we're going to measure the front to half length and of course the back piece to the half length. And for the sake of this tutorial, what I'm using is 2 inches. Difference between the front and the back is 2 inches. So I'm going to place that 2 inches right there. Then I'll mark it to the bust point area. So here we have our bust dart, and then I'm marking it. So now we are labeling our bust dart, our waist dart. And then there's another one we have, the shoulder dart. To determine the shoulder dart, we'll be dividing the shoulder by 2. Divided by 2. I'm going to fold my tape roll to get it. So that's our shoulder dart. Then from there, I'm going to be connecting it to the bust point. We'll connect to the bust point area. But for the sake of this block, we're not making use of this shoulder dart. It's just to show you that how to mark the shoulder dart. So we're going to continue. That's our shoulder dart, our bust dart, and our waist dart. Those are the 3 different darts that we can have. So to go in, you can go in by ½ inch on both sides for your shoulder dart, but for the sake of this block, like I said, we're not going to make use of the shoulder dart, so we're going to stop right there. And then voila, I think we're done with label, a shoulder, and then a bust dart. And then I'm going to be marking out the chest line because we're going to be using this in the course of our tutorials later. This is a chest line, then bust line, under bust, half length, and then so I had to go over the lines again, so not in order not to be confusing. So now I'm going to cut out this particular pattern. Please, when you're cutting this, please be careful in order not to cut into your patterns. So I'm going to cut this with ease. Watch how I am cutting it. Be careful of the armhole. Cut gently and then cut in. Take your time in cutting it. So this is it. I'm going to cutting out the neckline and the shoulder. So here our front pattern is ready. We are done cutting our front pattern and it's looking so good. So it's looking, please make sure you draft yours and then post. Let me see. So to draft our back block, we're going to doing the same. We impute our shoulder line, and then from our shoulder line, we're going to be starting our lines. I'll mark my bust dart here, my bust point, yes, my bust point, and extend the lines extend the line. The next thing I'm going to be marking, the difference between my front half length and my back half length is 2 inches. So since my front half length is 17, the back half length is 15, like what I'm showing here. The back, these are full length, so the front and the back is not the same. So I have 17 half length in front, shoulder to half length is 17, then my back is 15 inches, 2 inches shorter than my front half length. So I'm going to mark that there. Mark that there. Now marking what to give me a straight line when I'm connecting. Then I'm going to bring back the front block. I'm going to measure the difference between my half length and the full length, which is 6 inches. That is what I'm going to impute there. So they will be on the same line. There won't be differences at the hemline. So I'm marking my 6 inches there. And from there I'll be marking out the straight line, connecting the dots and then marking out the straight line. So I'll make it out. Next thing, I'm going to be labeling these lines. So yeah. So here I'm going to marking out my zipper allowance, 1 inch zipper allowance. For the sake of this block, I'm making use of 1 inch zipper allowance down there. And then I'll be marking this out in my straight rule. So from that zipper allowance, we'll be taking in all our measurements. So from there, we're going to be taking in a 3-inch neck width and then 1-inch neck depth, and then mark our shoulder measurement, which is 7.25. Then using my curve drill, I mark down by 1 inch my shoulder slope and make sure it's on the 7.25 measurement to be sure. So afterwards, I'm going to bring my ruler, my straight rule, and then connect the lines from the shoulder to the neck width. Then afterwards, I'm going to be using my curve drill to curve in my neckline. Just as you see me do. So look for a perfect circle that will connect the dots and then connect my curved line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to mark out my armhole. So I'm going to be using the same thing I used for the front block, which is 6.5 inches. I'll mark it there. When I'm doing other bodice block, I'm going to correct that. Sorry about that, guys. So sorry. So I'll make sure it's on the 7.25 line, shoulder line, and I'm connecting the lines on a straight line. So that marks our chest line. That particular line where our armhole is sitting marks our chest line. I'm going to extend it inward so we could mark out our armhole and our bust point measurement. Our bust measurements rather. So here I'm going in by 3.5 inch, 3.5 inch that's intake. So I came up by 2 inches just like the way we did to the front, and I marked my 3.5. I'm going to connect the dart on a straight line before marking out my dart legs. So on each side of the dart, I'm going to be going in by 0.75 inch, just as the way we did in front. We're going by 0.75 and then I'll go in by 0.75. So I'm going to be connecting it to the bust point and also to the other side of the dart, as you see me do. So guys, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, please, and keep watching. We promise to bring you loads of freebies. So now and then I'm connecting the lower part. of that leg. So I'm going to mark labeling that this is our waist dart, and this is our bust point, half length, and then armhole. These are armhole, and then that's our chest line. So to determine how we're going to be covering it, we're going to be using our tape rule to measure out 0.75. So we're going to measuring out 0.7, measuring out our bust point measurement, our bust circumference, which is 8.75 on that part. And then we're going to measure in at 0.75 in order to find a curve for our armhole, our back armhole. So using my curve rule, I'm going to find a perfect line, a perfect curve that will connect the three dots to each other. So that's what you see me do here. I'm doing that. So here we have our armhole, and then the next thing I'm going to be doing is inputting all our measurements. Here I have my bust point measurement, and then on the waistline, after inputting my half length, I'll go over that 7.5. I'll measure what I have, which is 1.5. I'll fix it back there, and then okay, then next thing I'm going to be doing is marking my full length, which is 9 inches, and then my hip length. So I'm going to be connecting the lines of, don't worry if your pattern is looking funny in some ways. When taking the dots, they are going to be aligned to each other, and it's going to be looking good. So here I have connected the lines. So on that particular waist that I'm going to be, for you not to have a bulge at the zipper allowance area, I'm going to be taking out half inch. You can do as much as 0.75, but for the sake of this block, I'm taking in half an inch from the zipper allowance, and I'm going to be connecting it all the way to the neckline. I'll connect it all the way to the neckline here, and then to the hemline, to the lower part of the block. And then those parts, we don't need them, we're going to be cutting it away. And for guys, please, I forgot this particular edge, we're going to be replacing it at the side seam. That half length I removed there, I'm going to be replacing it at the side seam. So please guys, do not forget, replace that at the side seam. And that's our chest line. So we're basically done like I was saying, place at the side thing. We're basically done with our back pattern. So now I'm going to be cutting it out. So guys, if you're not subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for? Please hit the subscribe button now, right now, right now. And for returning subscriber, you know we love you. I will always keep you very interested on our channel. So please keep coming back to our channel and turn on the notification bell so whenever we upload, you'll get to be notified. And here, so like I'm saying, we'll replace it. So I'm going to write it there, so I'll remind myself to replace it. Half inch zipper allowance, which we removed earlier. So here guys, we are done with cutting our back pattern, and then our two blocks are ready. So now I'm going to show you the difference between the two blocks, the 17 and the 15 half length difference. So when we turn this in, after folding this in, will have a match with the back pattern. It will match up with the back pattern. So this is, see what I'm doing here, right here. So to take in a dart, you have to open up a dart. So I don't want to open it up right here, right now, because I'm not using it here. But as long, let's go on the process of, I'm going to make the video where I'm going to make it. Can you see, guys? It is the same both at the edge and at the lower hem. Okay, guys, we really thank you for watching this movie to the very end. So please do subscribe to our channel and then turn on the notification bell. Bye.